Okay, comrades, I'd like to welcome all of you to another meeting of the Workers' International Network. Um, we're very privileged to have Comrade Raymond from Paris speaking about the important elections that have just taken place in France, the municipal elections, which are important because they illustrate the deepening political crisis in France. They've had more changes of prime minister in France in the last year or two than we have had even in Britain, and that is saying something. And France, of course, has always held a special place as really a beacon of revolution and a beacon of class activity again and again, ever since the time of the French Revolution and many, many, many revolutionary uprisings that have taken place since. We're very privileged to have Comrade Raymond, who's spoken many times here before. Um, I'd just like to apologise to him that at the moment we don't seem to have a translator. I don't think that's going to worry him because he's far more talented linguistically than most of us here. But we are expecting Comrade Beatrice to come. She is on her way, and if at any point, Raymond, you need translation, she'll be on hand.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So, without any further introduction, over to you, Raymond.
Okay, thank you, Roger. I apologize uh, to try to speak in English and not find the time to prepare this meeting like I will have to do. Anyway, I will try to say some words. Uh, For the beginning, maybe it's explain a bit how the municipal elections function in France. In France, there is two rounds in the municipal elections. If you do more than 51% at the first round, you win the city council. You win the election. You have the majority of the city council, and your main opponent have a smaller percentage of people elected in the city council. If you do less than 51%, it's you have to organize a second round. In the second round, it's a bit complicated. If your list has more than 5% of the votes, she has the right to fuse, to merge with another list at this second round. One or two or three different lists, if they accept. And if you do more than 10%, you have the right to merge with another list, but you have also the right to maintain. So in some cities, at the second round of the municipal elections, you have two or three or four different lists. For example, in Paris, we had three lists at the second round. One list of the conservative, of the right, one list of the United Left, I mean the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, and the Greens, who won the election. And the third was a list of France Insoumise, Jean-Luc Melenchon party. I mean, in English, France Insoumise it's something like Defiant France or some. It's the name of the party. So it's why it's difficult to have general lessons of these municipal elections. The other reason is that in France there is 30,000 cities who elected their city council and their mayor, and in most of these cities are very small towns and even very small villages, and with in some case there is only one list who is able to be present at this election, and in most of these towns, the elections were won at the first round, and in the majority of these small towns, there is no political parties who are present as such. So most of these the mayor who were elected at these in these cities were left or right party or right people, but not elected as member of an organization. So it's in France they have they said it's divers gauche, diverse left. So it's the kind of things. So the main except these, one issue was the abstention, and we had 43% of abstention at the local election, which is a big abstention in France, because there is the election where the people vote the most in general, because they are interested to know where will be their mayor, you know. So it's a big abstention. And as you know, in France, the political landscape is very fragmented. And in this regard, nothing has changed after the local election. As you know, we don't have a majority at this stage in the French Parliament, and nobody can say that they have won the local elections, the municipal elections in France. In fact, they all said we won. It's lucky because everybody was happy after the after the elections. So it's a bit complicated, and I will try to explain a bit more. In France, we have a special configuration. I mean that three of the main political forces at the national level are very weak at the local level. It's historic. The first one is the Rassemblement National, former National Front, who traditionally is very weak at the local elections because they had not a lot of members in the past. Now it's different. The second one, it's the Melenchon party, France Insoumise, because they refused. They were not interested to have a local implantation. At the last municipal election in 220. They were almost in every place. They were allied in a larger left or green lists. And the third one, it's for very similar reasons. It's the Macron party, Now their name is Renaissance. They change name every year. Renaissance means it's a rebirth, the name of the party, and they are very weak in the local in the local elections and very weak on the ground in France. So if I take this the result of these municipal elections, if I talk about the National Rally first, which is the main political party in France since some years now. The National Rally had 22 municipal councils, led 22 municipal councils, and now they led 74. So it's a huge growth of the National Rally, and in these 74 cities, they win since the first round in 31, which is a lot. 31 cities. They won cities mainly in the French middle towns. I mean, around 30 or 50,000 inhabitants. In the big cities, they are very weak still. For example, in Paris, their candidate at the local election in Paris win 1.5% of the votes. So they almost not exist, in fact, in Paris. But it's the same in the main with bigger scores. But it's almost the same in the main cities, except in the south. And in the south, they were able to win with their allies of the former conservatives. They will able to win one big city, which is Nice, at the close to the border of Italy. And in 2020, they had 300 councillors in France. And now they have 3,000 councillors. It means that they will be able to run for the senatorial elections in France next year. In France, we have the National Assembly, and we have also a Senate. The senators are elected by not by directly by the peoples, but they are elected by the councillors. So it will give the opportunity for the National Rally to be present at the Senate. Now, if I talk about the traditional conservatives in France, the right wing, traditional right wing, which is very weak now in France, they keep their positions because they were very strong at the local level. So they won some cities, and they lead 1,300 city councils in French, which is I mean they are the most important party in this respect in France. The Socialist Party are weaker than in the past, but they were able to keep some of the city council they run before. For example, they were able to keep Paris, which was not easy for them. They keep Lille, a big city in the north of France, and they won. They won Strasbourg, which is the one of the capitals of the so-called European Union, as you know. Now, if I said some words about the Greens, the Greens have no reason to be very happy. Maybe they are the one who have no reason to be very happy, because they win a lot of big towns at the last elections, and they were able to keep two. Lyon, which is the second town in France, and another town, Grenoble, but they are experiencing a decline, and they lose three big city councils. Now, to talk about the France Insoumise, Melenchon Party, as I said before, they were not present, almost not present at the last local elections. So they do a breakthroughs, maybe mainly in the main towns, the main cities, and in the suburbs of those cities. And they win two big towns in France. One is Saint-Denis. It's the northern suburb of Paris, the traditional working class and immigrant suburb in Paris. We organized a meeting of the Win in the past in Saint-Denis, if you remember, Roger. And the other is Roubaix, former working class, now mainly immigrant town in the north of France. Nothing to say about the Macron party, because they were very weak. So they keep, I think, two towns they run before, and that's all. Some words about the far left. Of course, they were not present in every local elections. Anyway, the main far left force in France, which is Lutte ouvrière, workers' struggle, they run in 2,400 cities, with some pretty good scores in traditional working class areas. I mean, score between 8 and 15% of the votes, or even more, sometimes more, and an average of national average of 0.5 to 1% of the votes. The same about other far left, French far left organization, one part of the Lambertist, one part of the new anti-capitalist party, because as you know, the two splits, and a new organization, very dynamic, small but dynamic, which is a permanent revolution, which is close to the Socialist Workers' Party of Argentina. And we do some very good scores in Marseille. I think around more than 6%, and even in Saint-Denis, the suburb won by the France Insoumise with 7% of the vote. So we are in this situation. To open to the debate, I will give you some reflections about the blurb of the meeting, of today's meeting. Is it a problem of sectarism in the French left? It was a huge debate in the French left. It's the main debate inside the Socialist Party now. The Socialist Party majority agreed to do electoral pact with Melenchon party, but inside the Socialist Party, there is a strong opposition who refuse this kind of agreement, and said that with this kind of agreement, they lose the elections. Even they have some examples with the municipal election. The united left keep 2 towns, but it was a failure in 6 or 7 other towns with agreement between the left and the France Insoumise. For me, the point is there is 2 points to raise. The first one is what is the left, which is an important issue, and the other one, it's what is sectarianism. To my opinion, in fact, the program of Mélenchon party, it's not very different from the program of the rest of the left. As you know, maybe they were together for the general elections with the same program, and until now they keep the same program, and the France Insoumise do reference to this program, the program of the united left, which was called the New Popular Front, which is 3 mistakes in 3 words: not new and not popular. Anyway, at the local level, for the municipal elections, there was almost no difference between the different left party, and it was the argument of the France Insoumise to ask for agreements of second rounds with the Socialist Party and the Greens. The problem is the general tactic, because the point that interests the France Insoumise, it's only since the beginning the presidential elections, and their political tactic, it's to organize conflict about every political issue day after day. If you have a debate about the weather, they will do a political conflict about the weather, etc. It works like this in France. Maybe it's not easy to understand from the outside how it's the political debate. Very sharp, but not on important issue mostly. And the France Insoumise and Mélenchon organize verbal provocation on every issues. So it gives the opportunity. It's like a game, you know. It gives the opportunity to the right wing, the French conservative, and to the social democracy to have the opportunity to portray Mélenchon's party as a party that poses a threat to democracy in France. And one of the issues was to know, if we had a second round between Mélenchon and the National Rally, which is the most dangerous. And now you have people, even in the left, who said, I don't want to choose between the Mélenchon party and the National Rally. The main topic of this, but you know this in Britain, it's about Palestine, of course, but with also some anti-Semitic outbursts from some France Insoumise members or leaders. The second other issue, main issue, because as I said, it's on every issue, the conflict. It's about the so-called anti-fascist struggle, because as some of you maybe know, one young guy, 23 years old, was assassinated, which was a far-right militant, was assassinated by Antifa some weeks ago, maybe 1 month ago now. But those Antifa were led by an MP of Melenchon party, and the guy involved in the attack who killed this young guy were parliamentary assistants of this France Insoumise MP. So in France, it was a huge issue on this. And the choix of Mélenchon was to defend his MP and was to assume everything on this issue. So it caused a big break with the rest of the left. In this respect, some could think it's a shame, but I'm 100% sure that there will be no unity of the left in France for the next presidential election. You will have two candidates for the left. One will be Jean-Luc Melenchon, because it's no question for Jean-Luc Melenchon not to be candidate. And the other probable candidate, it's a guy whose name Glucksmann, and which is a kind of it's not a member of the Socialist Party, but they will support this candidate, I think. This guy, it's like a kind of US Democratic Party, you know. It's more on the right than the Social Democracy, and with very Atlantic and anti-Russian positions and so and so. But if it's not this guy, you will have a social democrat against Jean-Luc Melenchon at the next presidential election for sure. So to conclude, some words. For me, the main issue the main problem at this stage, it's that we have no political representation of the working class in France. Except maybe some grouplets, and the main characteristics of the French politics remain. I mean, mainly, and it was confirmed by the local elections, you have a regional divide between the city centers of the major metropolitan areas in one side, and in the other side, you have the small provincial towns and the rural areas. As you know, maybe we had a huge farmer struggle in France against the Mercosur treaty. So I think at this stage, we are in the worst situation we ever faced politically in France, in the perspective to have a working class presence in the political spectrum.
Oh, thank you, Raymond. That was absolutely brilliant. You clarified so well a very complicated situation politically, and thanks very much for that. And who wants to come in first? This often happens, the silence at the beginning, and then at the end, everybody wants to come in. So, comrade, somebody needs to start the ball rolling. Is that John? Yes.
Just a minute. Am I unmuted? Yeah. Yes, I would like to thank the comrade for the lead off, because it clarified in my mind the sort of reports that we were getting in Britain about the French elections, which seems strange to me, because the report roughly said where the socialists stood alone, like in Paris, they won. But where they linked up with the left, as they put it, which I presume is Melenchon, they lost. And given your explanation now, and particularly the fact that Melenchon supported the assassination of this young man who, from what I understand, was a right-wing Catholic neo-fascist, speaks volumes, because at the present time, we're not in the area of a pre-Civil War situation. We're in the area of political debate, and to resort to assassinations, I think, is totally counterproductive. I think Trotsky spoke very strongly about the fact that individual terrorism actually supported, if you like, the powers that be, because it gave them the excuse, to come in strongly against the left. I'd just like to leave it at that, comrades.
Yep, thank you. Norma.
Thanks very much, Raymond. It was very clear and very synthetic situation you present. I would like to know from you 2 points. One comment. Of course, I agree completely in your analysis, description, and conclusions. And it's not the first time I say to you that. So what I see is that Melenchon in municipals, local elections, but his objective is in the presidential, is in a higher, he rises the level of confrontation, violence in the verbal violence, in the declarations, and that goes to also a projection in a real violence or in a real confrontation. And it's not going really to the deep, mainly the working classes. He does not address to working classes, even if, and in fact, even if he called himself of his movement popular, France Popular, is not popular at all. So that is a real, that has raised the problem in a very short time. That's one point. And the other point is about the presidential elections, which rightly you mentioned Glucksmann, and you said that the two, it will be Melenchon and Glucksmann. What do you predict? I agree, but I suppose for the left, but there is the extreme right and the national ally that will be, I assume, in the elections, in your analysis, in the presidential, the confrontation will be also including the extreme right. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, Norma. Thamos.
Well, thanks, Raymond, for clearing up a lot of questions about what's going on in France. It's a very sad realization that things are not what we were seeing from outside, and simplifying and having scenarios that they don't seem to be real in view of this report, which really is the first report I've heard that makes sense of what's going on. But on the other hand, I think we should realize that what's happening there, it confirms the more general movement in France, in the sense that if some difficult social situation drags on for too long, anybody who is involved in the politics of the situation disintegrates. I mean, it seems that Melenchon's party is being exhausted. It's running out of ideas. It's running out of methods to take the struggle forward. Unfortunately, I don't know, and I don't know if we know if there is some grouping that can put forward some sort of analysis and some sort of program. And I'm not saying a program in the sense that we take one program and compare with another, because in situations that are unstable, in situations that the struggle is disintegrating, and the society is disintegrating, and not only in France but everywhere. A program is not really something stable, and it's not something that we should start comparisons with. Tactics take over, in fact, and sometimes in these tactics we lose sight of the long term. But what we need is just to have a serious group with a serious long-term program and strategy, but being able to formulate short-term programs, relying on what is happening on the ground, and trying to not to lose sight that not everything can be stable. Now, what does that mean? I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that we should keep the left together. I mean, criticize Melenchon for all we can, criticize in an exact way, and being specific on what the criticism is all about. But I think this is the time to safeguard the unity of the left. Safeguard not in the sense of from retreating from principles, but in the sense of putting principles forward and trying to join everywhere we can all the left forces. And even if it sounds impossible today for the socialists and the rest of the left working with Melenchon, I mean, as we go towards presidential elections, or as we go into any struggle, because we don't know what the next struggle will have to be, we have to have a unity platform which to put forward, and to win the people who want the left to win on something. So I don't know if I'm clear what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, don't lose faith in the unity of the left. That's what the working class is all about, and that's what we should try. That's where we should try to be. Being judgmental about what's going on and rejecting whole portions of the left because they made this or that or the other stupidity is not a revolutionary way forward.
Yeah, thank you, fellow. Important points. Finn?
Comrades, I want to thank Raymond for a very useful and very informative opening contribution. Good to see you again, Raymond. I hope you're well.
Fine, thank you.
I want to ask a few questions, really. Firstly, about the Trotskyist left, Louis Touvier in particular. I'm surprised to hear that they're still influential, so I'd like a bit more information as to where they are gaining influence and how they've kept support, because they've been there since the 1960s, and there's a strong tradition of Trotskyism in the working class in France. So what's the future for Louis Touvier, and where are they picking up support at the present time? That's a question. Secondly, the trade union movement. What's happening in the trade union movement in terms of politics? Their earlier affiliation with the PSOE is finished. I mean, that relationship is of no significance, obviously, because the Socialist Party has all disappeared. But what is the organised, trade unionised working class in France now doing politically, and in what direction are they looking for the future growth and development of French politics? In Marseille, there was a strike by CGT members on the issue of Gaza, where dockers refused to load and unload ships which were bound with arms for the genocide in Gaza. That was a significant development in the workers' movement. One of the representatives was here, used to be a comrade of the militant, Mick Flynn was his name. He spoke at the meeting in Marseille, he told me. That's a very significant movement. So to what extent is that replicated, or can that movement be found in other parts of the trade union movement? In other words, a radicalization of the trade union movement. Another question is, it seems, according to opinion polls and reading the newspapers, that the RN, the old National Front, is going to win the presidential election. I mean, whether it's going to be Le Pen, and I know there's a legal issue there, or a nominated deputy or whatever, we don't know. But if the National Front, or the Rassemblement National, no, well, anyway, the right wing, if they win the election for the president of France, what's going to happen? What's going, in your opinion, Raymond, what's going to be the reaction of the left, of society, of the organised working class, of the communities, of the cities? What do you see as happening? And my final question relates to which I've never properly understood, the old Communist Party. The Communist Party used to be a very big and mass organisation throughout France, historically, as well as in the current politics. But I believe now that the people who previously voted for the Communist Party are now voting in large numbers for the right wing. And why is that? How can that come about? How can, I can never answer that question, why somebody who previously would have been campaigning and been a member of and working for the Communist Party start to vote for the National Front. So I'm interested in your opinion on that. And in that regard also, Melenchon presumably is picking up support from the better, if to use that expression, the better members of the old Communist Party are probably drifting towards Melenchon. So I'd like more information so I can come to a clear understanding myself as to why the Communist Party members, once part of a major left-wing group throughout the country, should now be voting for the right. And if Melenchon had an influence initially amongst the Communist Party when the party was emerging several years ago, why did that process stop? So I know these are questions, and I want to thank Raymond for his earlier contribution. And hopefully the answers that he provides will be, illuminating, helping us to understand these complicated processes that are happening in France at the present time.
Yeah, thank you. Been very relevant questions. Eric, I think you're next.
Yeah, good morning. It's really interesting stuff, and thank you very much for the lead off. So I'm opening a big can of worms. It's probably a topic that could be its own lead off and discussion. And I'm sort of curious beyond the borders of France about the rest of Europe. What is the attitude among young activists, the working class, through the left, about all these military conflicts? I don't think probably any of us are deeply surprised. You know, this sort of semi-fascist Trump government has now started another war in Iran. Looks like it could be a quite serious one. And at least here in the U.S., there's tremendous confusion about the conflict in Eastern Europe, the invasion by the Putin government of Ukraine. Some are very pro, campist and very pro-Putin. Others are, uncritically pro-Ukraine. And just sort of in closing and just sort of illustrate this. So there's this kind of, it's like a agglomeration, social movement sort of thrown together by the liberals. But a lot of the left have gotten involved in it called No Kings. All of you may have seen in the news or these huge No King rallies all over the United States and even in other countries yesterday. One of the central organizing themes is Save NATO. So there's a tremendous confusion, even and among some young activists here that call themselves socialists. If you scratch the surface of their politics, what they really want is the old neoliberal order of a couple of decades ago. So I just wonder, what is that attitude? France is a former colonial power. What is the attitude among the working class and young activists toward the conflict in Eastern Europe, the conflict in the Middle East, Israel-Palestine? I mean, Israel-Palestine is kind of a low-hanging fruit. Everybody says free Palestine. Anyway, if you could say a few words about that, I'm really interested. And it kind of goes with what Finn was just asking about, members of the old Communist Party going to the right, which kind of actually probably doesn't surprise me. Anyway, thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing your sum up.
Well, thanks, Eric. Norma, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a couple of points or ask a couple of questions first,
Of course,
and then
it's
I'll
after.
call you in. And then Raymond, if you'd like to chip in. First, we see in France a process which seems to be happening throughout the traditional capitalist metropolitan countries, which is a complete collapse of the workers' parties, the growth of, on the basis of despair, perhaps a despair of disillusion and so on, but the growth of horrible racist parties. Some would say kind of neo-fascist. Perhaps that's not a very accurate term for it, but nevertheless, very ugly and very deeply troubling phenomena, which we see everywhere. And we see, I mean, throughout Europe, there's been this, what do you call it, this black tide, if you like, of country after country, including countries with strong proletarian traditions. We've seen how, we have uh, in Italy, where they had the biggest communist party outside of the Socialist bloc, which has been completely pulverized apparently now, and we have the government of what was an explicitly fascist party under Meloni. We have in Scandinavian countries again the rise of the far right in countries which had decades, which were kind of meccas of social democratic reformism, where they've been wiped out, and where there's fascist governments or fascist parties or neo-fascist, whatever we want to call them, in government or in coalitions supporting the government. We have that, this kind of tide sweeping through Europe. And really, the only major countries that seem to be so far resisting that were Germany, France, and Britain. And in all of those, we seem to see the writing on the wall that we're going to see victories, probably electorally, of the AfD in Germany, of the Rassemblement National in France, and of Reform in Britain. And I think we need to say, I know that there may be a difference, slight difference of emphasis between us on this, but I think we have to say all of these parties, they may be putting they're all putting racist positions, openly, flagrantly racist positions, but they're putting, in a sense, they're trying to exploit the disillusion of the working class in their traditional parties by putting forward a kind of pro-worker facade. But the fact is that when they come to power, I think that they're going to show a very different and a very much more brutal and nasty face. And I think the struggle to keep out the Rassemblement National, is going to be a priority for all of us. We've seen this huge tremors, if you like, almost like the prelude to earthquake, almost, with the constant movement of eruptions of discontent in France, particularly. We had for some years, we had the gilets jaunes demonstrations. We had the uprising of youth in protest against the racist and racism and brutality of the police. We've had a huge strike wave in the recent period and so on. But these seem to be disconnected from any of the political parties. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And that being the case, it seems to me absolutely essential that we should be arguing for unity of the left, unity of all of the parties that claim in any way to have a basis in the traditions of the left, even the Socialist Party, which probably, like the Labour Party, you could no longer call perhaps a workers' party. I don't know what Raymond would say about that. And also whatever is left of the Communist Party, and also Melenchon's party. Now, I understand that Melenchon is far from putting forward a revolutionary program. He's a kind of individual, eccentric maverick who seems to very much want personal power and authority for himself. He's adopted a very sectarian attitude towards other potential allies, if you like, and it seems to me that there's no possibility of democratic accountability within La France Insoumise. That being the case, what can the left groups do? I think the first thing is it would be an absolute scandal and a shame if yet again we had a presidential election where in the second round it had to be a choice between the Le Pen party and some kind of improvised liberal left sort of alternative, not left, liberal centre alternative. It would be a scandal if there was no party that even claimed to stand on the socialist traditions of the French working class standing in the election for all their crimes, for all their betrayals, etc. So what actually, well, I'd ask Raymond, what position would you take, for instance, in the coming presidential election? We had, I can understand that there's scepticism about supporting any of the parties, but surely we have to raise the banner of workers' unity and the united front against the menace of the far right. Okay. I'll call Jimmy. Sorry,
yeah, Roger.
Jimmy,
I don't want to make any
Raymond,
contribution.
Okay, yeah.
What I do want to say is that Comrade Beatrix had her hand up for some time.
Yes.
You didn't see it. I just want to draw your attention to that.
Sorry, Beatrice, I didn't see that. Yes. Well, who's first? Should we call Beatrice? All right, we'll call Beatrice once she's available. Then Raymond, do you want to make a sort of interview comments?
There is a lot of very interesting points. Difficult to talk about all these points and be short. To say somewhat about Lutte Ouvrière, which is the most serious far left organization in France since a long time, because they exist since they were built during the Second World War. So they don't change. They keep their strategy, their tactics. be present in the blue-collar working class, recruit workers, and be consider themselves as a faction of a future revolutionary party to be built. The point is, so they don't change. They keep some influence in the working class in France. That's sure. They have more influence than the CP, for example, today in the working class. But they always refuse to launch, strong political campaigns on conjuncturel, on temporary issues, this kind of campaign. They always refuse, so they will refuse. They will not do that. So I don't think that they will develop. I think they will stay the same, but with a certain level of influence. I'm not sure to be very clear. The trade union movement, you have at this stage is led by a kind of soft left, soft liberal left. But there is some opposition in some parts of the CGT, the traditional union linked to the CP, and the people who Finn talks about are opponent. So you have some internal left opposition in the CGT. At this stage, our main hopes are in the union movement, not on the political left. That's clear. So we try to do little things in the trade union movement, who has the merit to exist as a working class organization as such, which is not exactly the case of the political left. Will the National Front rally win? I'm not sure, because the liberals will do all what they can to make this impossible. They put Marine Le Pen on trial. They are able to organize things against free speech. It's they will do all what they can, but it's the most probable at this stage. The most probable it's to have a victory of the national rally and an election without the left at the second round. It's the most probable at this stage. And of course, a lot of former voters of the French CP in the working class areas, since a long time now, they left the CP to vote for the national rally. The national rally is by far the party who has the main working class voters. But I think that around the Brexit, you have something like that in Britain also, with working class area who vote conservatives. If I'm right on this issue. There is the main reason, to my opinion, is the hostility of liberalism to liberalism, and the fact that the left has that the people think that the left is too soft on the immigration question and on the question of delinquence. I don't know the word in English. The struggle against the street violence and things like that. I think it's the main reason, And the national rally was very strong because they were able to keep these voters. Now they are more, they were a kind of a populist, nationalist, populist party with some pro-workers elements of program. Now they are very much conservative, classic force in terms of program. But at this stage, they keep their working class voters. So I agree with Rogers on the idea to do to make the fight against the far right a political priority. But the question, it's not exact for me, it's on which basis. So will we, the point is, if we analyze that it's the fault of the politics of the left that this party was able to win, to be very strong and to represent a danger, we must break with this cause before to organize an alliance with somebody. We will not be able to fight the nationalism, the far right nationalism, if we don't break before with the liberalism, because it's the liberal left who make who make those people strong. I'm not sure to be enough good in English to explain my idea. So I think it's a very important point. And if we take, for example, the far left small organizations, it's the same problem, except Le Ouvrière, we are very classical. The others are most of the political issues are on what we call social issues. I mean, immigrant rights, transgender rights. I don't know, all these kind of issues as their main issues of campaign. If you think that we can beat the far right with this kind of a program, I think it's a strong mistake. I think we will accelerate the processes to make the far right to the power. So there is for me, there is a precondition. So at this stage, as you understand, and I agree with you, Roger, on how the Melenchon party function. Yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, it's even worse, but it's what you said. So it's not possible to be to do a kind of entry work or things like that, because there is absolutely no democracy in the party. There are even no elections. Those, only mails in your box, and that's all. So at this stage, my position, I have no candidate to support for the next presidential election. We have a young guy in France, which name is Juan Branco, who was who is a lawyer, an avocat, yes, a lawyer, not a lawyer, advocate of the gilets jaunes, advocate of Julian Assange too, and this guy will try to be present to the election. No, impossible to win, but if this guy who said my first point, it's a break with the NATO, my second point, it's a break with the European Union, and so and so, I will my third point, it's to defend democracy and democratic freedom. Maybe I will support this guy. If not, I'm not ready to support anybody at this stage. Of course, I think that the woman and me, it's the people who have the real power. So I will vote against. I will use the vote bulletin that I can find to vote against the the Macron party, which is the main enemy for me at this stage. But it's not a positive, it's not a positive act. And I am some. Maybe it will be easier to discuss in a written form. But this idea of united front, I agree, of course. But it's not the united front in the elections. It's the united front in the class struggle. For me, it's not exactly the same. Anyway, at this stage, except the little far left parties, the traditional left in France don't refer to socialism. The Socialist Party, it's a 100% capitalist party. The CP is an appendix of the Socialist Party. The Greens are a bourgeois party. And Mélenchon poses some problems. At least Mélenchon is better in international issues. At least Mélenchon is better on Ukraine, is better on Palestine, which is a good thing. In France, in some weeks, we will have a vote. And in France, the Socialist Party vote the budget of the state. So they vote, they are part of the majority, of Macron majority in parliament at this stage. They vote the budget. And we will have a law to ban the support for Palestine in France in some weeks. And this law, which is a massive attack against the support to this struggle and against the free speech in France, will be supported by the Socialist Party. So we will not, it's impossible to say, okay, we will do a front with you in the next election. For which reason, it's my general, my general analysis at this stage. And Mélenchon, what he wants, it's to be elected. That's all. He can change his mind, and he changed his mind on a lot of issues. He begins. He said since the beginning, "I'm the sound and the fury." It was his main slogan at the beginning. But at this epoch, we agree with this, because it was the sound and the fury, and it was to reestablish the traditional socialist party tradition in France, class struggle in France. Now it's not the same. It's the sound and the fury to try to keep to win some segment of electorate outside the working class.
Right, thank you, Raymond. And we continue the discussion. Beatrice, I'm sorry I didn't see your hand up before. I know you've had problems with connectivity here as well, but over to you, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Raymond, for this presentation. My question is a bit anecdotal, but I was thinking of the people who either I missed part of a meeting trying to solve problems, so you might already have answered. People such as Corbière and Clémentine Autain, and what happened to them? Where did they go? And are they doing something which is of interest?
Maybe I can answer directly. Yes, those people.
Yes, okay.
The last wave. Mélenchon since the beginning expel people.
Yeah.
It begins with the closest people, and after he expel others and others. The last wave of expulsion, they build a new together a new small political party. This is a small political party, which name is L'Après, after. It's the name of the party. This party argue for left unity. So in fact, this little party, this small party, is at this stage in France the main force arguing for left unity between the Socialist Party and the France Insoumise. So, to my opinion, it's a break on the right of the France Insoumise. Even some of their explanation of the internal regime of Melenchon mistakes and so we are right. The conclusions were, to my opinion, were right wing. But anyway, it's their fight now. It's fight for the electoral unity of the left.
Thank you. That's interesting. Norma, you wanted to come back. Do you want to speak now?
No, I think Raymond summarized and clarified the issues. I just very, very briefly, if I could say this, that in the trade unions, in the basis of trade unions, there are a working class representations in the basis and in the struggles, and as Ramon said, also the small left political organizations, even if in the elections are small records, but they do a work and they keep working and contact with the basis of the working class. And Melenchon is not just an individual, a problem of which have individual ambitions. He changed methods. There is a problem with the methods. There is a problem with authority methods, no discussions, and authoritarian methods, anti-Semitism procedures too, problems of violence in the inside. I mean, and is not in contact with the real working classes. So it's a problem too. It's a problem, as it's not just to promote the unity of left, the unity at every price with Melenchon. I think it's not a service. It's not a service we do for working classes and for new movements to do not point out the real problems and the real issues we need. This it was a transformation, and it's clear. I mean, in the reality, what is going on in France. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thamos.
First of all, I don't know much about France, so whatever I say might not apply at all. But from the discussion, I get the feeling that we should not lose sight of the fact that the struggle is not only parliamentary. We are not talking about official politics. We could have big clashes before the presidential elections. And we should be prepared for that as well, in the sense that our politics should encompass the whole spectrum of the problems of modern France and the modern world. And I think in this, the experience of Syriza and how it came about, how it won power in Greece, and how it brought Greece to the brink of revolution is very relevant. There again, we had the disintegrating liberal center parties, which were giving ground for the far right to rise, and a small party of the left, with just getting 4% of the vote, joined up forces with various sects and God knows I hate sects. But at the same time, these people managed to form a party called Syriza, which produced day-to-day programs and day-to-day actions in the everyday struggles of the Greek working class and won power. The end wasn't very happy, but it wasn't very happy because the leadership just quit at the time of its victory, at the time that they won the referendum. And I think this is the sort of processes that we should envisage, not only electoral, not only just groupings to fight for elections, but getting together all the people who think that the left and the working class have something relevant, and try to formulate a program. In the same way that the series that formulated the Thessaloniki program. It was just a program that you can criticize today, left, right, and center. But it was a great program. It was a program that just got the feeling of the Greek working class and the Greek people and brought them to power. And I think this is the sort of discussions you should be having. If there is a sizable group in France that can bring together all these strands of the left and produce something to show to the French people that it can offer something, there is hope. And I think this is the sort of thing we should be thinking about, and not get distracted by the whims of Melenchon or the treachery of the Socialist Party or any of these. I mean, in Greece, the PASOK didn't take part in all this work of Syriza. It just was thrown to the sidelines. But the Greek people were one, and this is the sort of thing that we should have in mind. That's what we should try to aim at, and not just how to get the presidential candidate elected. We'll have a lot of events before the presidential elections.
Thanks, Thomas. Finn.
Yeah, just a further brief question of Raymond. What happened to the Parti Socialiste de Gauche, which we were in France at the time? I was at some of the discussions around that. It was a group within the French Socialist Party that broke away to try and form a left group. I think Georges Sally might have been the principal person, but a lot of comrades with experience were involved in it. And my experience there, listening to the discussions that were happening, showed a lot of potential, a lot of fruitful issues were being discussed. So basically, Parti Socialiste de Gauche, what happened to it and where is it now, and where are the people who supported it initially?
Okay, thanks. Raymond, if I could just make a quick question before I call you back in. Well, the first thing is in relation to the point that Thomas just made. We had that wave of where there was a kind of tidal wave to the left in the mid-teens, if you like. We had, I would say, the prime example was Syriza in Greece, but we had similar phenomena around the world. The Sanders wave in USA, the Corbyn wave in Britain, Podemos in Spain, and the many several other examples too. And I think what we're seeing now is the backlash of the reason for the rise of horrible reactionary racist right-wing parties around the world, which, as Raymond says, do have a base in the working class, at least in sections of the working class. That is a sign of the complete betrayal by those left party, particularly Theresa, who in the end they were forced to a position where they seemed to think they had no way out but to put the onus of responsibility and the onus of leadership on their supporters or on the population, on the mass of the population, by calling a referendum and saying, do you want us to confront the bankers? And when they got a resounding yes, 2/3 of the population and more, almost every demographic group said, yes, take them on, fight them. And the very, very next day, they completely capitulated because it called their bluff and it showed that they were not capable. And I think it was a result of that and less dramatic, but similar betrayals and failures of the left in other countries too, which has created this horrible backlash. And what do you think are the possibilities now of new wave, perhaps after the experience? Because the election of these far right parties doesn't represent a classic defeat of the working class. On the contrary, I think it could be just a spur to a new counter movement of the left. And I'd be interested to know what you think, Raymond, about that. And then one little question. I was interested by what you said about this new little group called L'Après, a strange name for a party, the afterwards. But is it just a couple of disgruntled dissidents from La France Insoumise, or does it have any kind of base? And would that be a good place to work? Because at least they seem to be putting forward a rational program of unity of the left. So if there's no other comrades want to come in, Raymond, back to you.
Yes, about the PSG, a break of the Socialist Party, a work very strong. Some of you know were in Saint-Denis with this group, very strong, but a local group and very working class. This group collapsed. In fact, we in 2017 we proposed to support Melenchon for the presidential elections, and for reasons of for local reasons, for reasons of relationships with the Melenchon party in Saint-Denis. You know, it was in Saint-Denis, this city which the Melenchon party has won at the local election. They refuse to ask for a vote to vote for Melenchon. So some of us decided to support Melenchon anyway, and the group collapsed. And they didn't exist anymore. And unfortunately, except outside, some people outside Paris stay with us, but the main group, we have no relation today with any former members in Saint-Denis. So it's a total failure, unfortunately. I think we tried to do this, but it was a failure, and they were not able to stay together on a local basis, so they collapsed. About the L'Après, at this stage, this group is mainly a group of MPs expelled by Mélenchon. We were joined by some former far left people, if I will take an example in Britain, it's like Left Unity. You know, this group left, it's more or less the same, but with some MPs. But they don't have any basis in the unions or any basis in the, you know, on the ground. It's only MPs. So political with a certain an access to the mass media or things like that, but no real basis. So. And we know, I know personally all of those people. So if we decided to join, I think we will be welcome in this small party. The problem is that the political line that we defend, it's the contrary of the line. And for example, they have some influence in the union of the teachers, national, and we have a comrade which is at the leadership of the union of the teachers, and in fact we disagree with those people on every issue. They are not interested to intervene in the class struggle. They are not. They are interested only on so-called anti-fascism, on issues of feminism and things like that. So. Maybe it's a mistake, but at this stage, if I exaggerate a bit, we could be closer from a sovereignist, left sovereignist party than this organization. I don't know if I'm clear enough. About the problems with all these betrayals, we agree with the idea to join Podemos. We agree to the idea to join Corbyn at the beginning, even to support Sanders, and we have supported Melenchon during almost more than almost 10 years, since 212 presidential campaign. And in 212, Melenchon front was present a lot of similarity with Syriza in Greece. It's because it was a bloc with the CP and other smaller forces. Was it possible to prevent those betrayals? I'm not sure that it's possible, because I think maybe the class struggle it's not developed enough to prevent this. Because what I remark in the case of Greece, it's that I don't know very well the situation in Greece. You will correct me, Dimitrios Temossi, if I said mistakes, but some people revolt against this and try to build an alternative to Syriza, but it doesn't function. And at this stage, it seems to me that the only force, strong force in Greece is the Communist Party. So maybe it was too soon. What to do? I think we must be organized, of course, and we have to be autonomous in this kind of regroupments. The point is that at this stage, it's like this in France, but if I look at the other countries, I think it's the same. We have a few numbers of supporters, and mainly older people, mainly retired people. In France, it's the case. I am one of the youngest, so it's very difficult to find a way to put in practice the line that we try to argue for. Maybe it will be easier if we were in a more important group, but at this stage, I don't see a larger democratic regroupment who make this work possible, except the trade unions, of course.
Okay, thank you. Beatrice.
My hand still doesn't function on my computer, sorry. What I was thinking is that actually in the UK, for instance, you do have different parties which have formed left-wing party. You've got obviously your party with Corbyn and Zara Sultana, although, but you also have a lot of independent candidates, a lot of little party community independence, a bit all over the place, and they're also having pacts with the Green, which under the new leader Zach Polanski, who is quite visible in the media, for instance, and quite liked by the media, but also has a progressive agenda. There is a kind of in the municipal elections which are going to take place, local elections which are going to take place in May. You have a lot of shared common list between the community independence, your party, yes, and the Green, I think, yes. Is that a possibility in France? I know that Les Verts are not particularly progressive, but is this a possibility in France? What are? I think the Greens have made alliances with the PS in those elections in different places. Yes, that's for you, Raymond.
Is there any other comrades who want to come in before I call Raymond back?
Oh, sorry, yes, of course.
Raymond, do you want to?
Shortly, the point is, what is the objective? What do we want? And we have often this kind of debate with our sympathizers. And our sympathizers are mainly middle-class people living in the center of Paris and former militant of the main left parties. So they react in terms of electoral activity, campaign to support, this kind of thing. But if we take the issue with the problematic of the building of a working class representation, a labor representation or something, it's very different. And for me, the Greens are a left bourgeois liberal party, and sometimes even on environmental issues, a bit rightist, in fact, in their choose. So you have in the Greens in France some left people very close of us, and we know them since years. It's former militants of the far left, and they have a grouplet called popular ecology, who try to do things. They were very present during the gilets jaunes movement, and even one of the main figure of the gilets jaunes, a young guy, it's a Rom. You understand Rom? A gypsy. Joined this little left network in the Greens. So maybe at one stage or another, we will join with those people in something in a larger organization. But to be part of the Green for us at this stage, it's out of it's not a debate at all. And yeah, I think that's all.
Okay, are there any other points the comrades want to make, or any final questions?
Sorry, Roger.
Oh, sorry.
Because you know, we have this debate with some sympathizers in France, mainly on this issue, but not the issue of the Green Party, but the issue of the environmental movement. And the people said to us, what can we do to win people? What can we do? Where could be to have the main opportunity to win people? But for me, the problem is that class politics, it's not win people. Class politics is intervening in the class struggle. And if you are able to intervene in the class struggle, you will be able to win working class fighters. You know, it's not the same the same idea. And the last people who joined our little network in France, it was the consequence of the Gilets jaunes movement. We were able to build a Gilets jaunes group, a strong Gilets jaunes group in Paris, and it gives us the opportunity to win people who share this priority and this will to intervene in the situation.
Right. Any comrades still want to come in? Norma, Beatrice, perhaps any other comrades?
No, I totally agree. So Raymond said exactly what I think, and I think is the way. And I am a Gilet jaune from the first time. I mean, joining Raymond and the group.
Okay, very good. All right, then perhaps we should wind up the discussion now. Raymond, do you want to make any last points to sum up?
It's okay for me.
Okay. Well, in that case, I thank all the comrades. I think it's been a really very, very useful and informative discussion. The political situation in France is very complicated, and Raymond, you've really thrown a lot of light on the situation for all of us. Right, well, I have to say that we're having a little break for the Easter holiday period. For the next 2 weeks, we won't be holding any of the normal discussion meetings. Next week, we have no meeting. In 2 weeks' time, we do have we're calling a meeting of our organising committee, which is not an exclusive gathering at all. Everybody is invited to participate, and we'll be concentrating not on political discussion, although no doubt there'll be some of that too, but mainly on organising our programme for the period ahead, and particularly making plans for our projected WIN conference, which was originally scheduled for a week or two ago, but we've rethought that, and we need to make plans to hold our conference online, maybe in staggered sessions, and maybe also on a regional basis, as well as bringing us all together. Anyway, so comrades, any comrades who want to come in 2 weeks' time to our committee meeting, you will get a notice, and please feel very welcome. And our political discussion meetings will start again in 3 weeks' time. So thanks, comrades, again for your participation in what's been a really, really useful discussion. Bye, comrades.